Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Hockman. I'm the medical matchmaker. I help doctors find the practice of their dreams. And with me today, I have the one and only Dr. Alicia Shelly. And I'm so excited to have her here because she inspires me. And so hopefully we'll see even just a little glimmer of why today. So, Dr. Shelly, I'm going to have you introduce yourself and what it is that you do.
Yes. So I am a board certified internal medicine, obesity medicine physician. I work in actually an employed hospital as a primary care physician and obesity medicine, where I do a combination of both here in Wellstar Medical Center in Douglasville, Georgia. And I'm also the host of the Back on Track Achieving Healthy Weight Loss, where we help people get back on track with their weight loss and live a healthy and happy life.
That is Dr. Shelly. And as you can see, we're having a little bit of some technical issues here. So
Yeah.
so it'll be kind of fun to see if you can figure out what words came out of the mouth at what time. But um
Thank you. I'm so sorry.
yeah, it happens.
Mhm.
So and it actually kind of plays into what we're talking about today, which is just do it anyway, right? Just
Yes.
do it. So
Yeah.
Dr. Shelly is the co-author of a book that just came out a couple days ago. So I'm going to open it up on my Kindle here.
Mhm.
And there we have Made for More.
Mhm.
Dr. Shelley is chapter 22. I'm chapter 12. And she really talks about, she calls her chapter Just Start. And it's really about overcoming those fears and believing yourself and taking action even when you're not ready. And I do want to go into that a little bit, but I want to tell you a little something that Dr. Shelley did that has stuck with me now. It's almost a year later and it still blows me away. So, Dr. Shelley and I were at a conference in April of 2022 and we went out to dinner and we got home late. I was about ready to collapse into bed. It was about 11 p.m. And Dr. Shelley says, all right, I haven't done my workout today for my Ironman, so I'm going to go work out. And she did. I don't think you ran on the treadmill or you biked for 2 or 3 hours. And so, I mean, that's just phenomenal. I think
Mhm.
so many of us set goals, and there are so many reasons why we don't achieve them. You set a goal to run an or do everything in the Ironman. So, for people who don't know what an Ironman is, can you just tell people what an Ironman is?
Yes. So an Ironman is a triathlon, a long distance triathlon where you are swimming, you're biking, and you are running. And so a full Ironman is you swim for 2.4 miles, you bike 112 miles, and you run 26 miles. So it's pretty intense. It does take a lot of training, and for me, it's been a year of training for it, but it's definitely really worthwhile to see how you change, how you become that person that finished an Ironman just by your training.
That's very cool. And before you became really an entrepreneur and started a podcast, like when I speak with you, you're just this regular gal. You're just this cool person that I just want to chat with. But then when you really learn about all these things that you've done, so cool. So who do you feel like you were maybe 5 years ago? And how would you compare that to who you are today?
Hmm. So the person I was 5 years ago was probably somebody who wasn't very confident, who wasn't so assured of herself. Um, I was just coming into my own. Like I'd been in practice for a little while, maybe about 4 years, but still hadn't quite figured it out. Like I felt like I was missing something, would be how I would describe it. And so I can't say I lived my life to the fullest at that point. I always loved to travel, and I would do different trips. But I feel like now I'm living in my element. I'm living in my zone of genius or my calling, and I feel as if I'm just so much more confident and assured of myself. And I have I have a purpose. I have a not only just a passion, but a purpose and a calling at this point.
And you
Mm.
had to break through some fears to be able to get to this point.
Exactly. So this wasn't, I mean, sometimes it's really hard to do things differently. You've been doing them for a while. It's so much easier. I'm, believe it or not, I am an introvert. I enjoy being having time to myself. I wouldn't say alone, but having time to myself. I'm not the cat lady, but I do have a dog. But I enjoy that time. And so it's for me, sometimes just getting out there, meeting new people, trying some different things, it's a little out of my comfort zone. So, but now, even though I am an introvert at heart, I don't have a problem with doing things. I may feel a little nervous, but I just kind of work through it. So, and I definitely have gotten used to um, being uncomfortable, like living in the discomfort would be how I describe it.
Yeah, there's definitely a moment of growth when you stop fearing fear
Mhm.
and you're like, yeah, it's going to be scary. Okay. And you do it anyway.
Yeah, yeah. And it's sometimes it's hard to get there, but it's totally worth it when you're like, I'm okay with feeling fear. I'm okay with being uncomfortable. I just have to do it anyway. Because eventually, if you keep doing it, the discomfort will become comfortable.
Yeah. Um, and you talked about taking action and stop comparing in your chapter. Tell us a little bit about those two things.
Oh, yeah. So, definitely the one thing I have learned in this journey of entrepreneurship is that it's so easy to look at somebody else and be like, oh, they're killing it. They're doing this, they're doing that. I'm doing nothing. Nothing's happening. Like for me, I'm a podcaster. So, and I do a podcast in health and wellness and fitness and weight loss. And sometimes it's, I see these big names who aren't doctors who are still like just killing it. And I may sometimes get down on myself that, oh, I'm not seeing the different downloads or the audience. But the funny thing is that I've gotten lots of opportunities just by being consistent with my podcast, where people are like, I was listening to your podcast and I was, looking at what you're putting out there on social media, and I want to work with you based on that. And in my mind, I'm like, well, I'm not doing enough. But because I'm comparing myself to somebody else, and I didn't know when that person started, I don't know if this was their first podcast, third podcast, or whatever. But because I'm looking at their, as they like to say, their chapter 25, I'm on chapter 1, and I'm comparing myself, but it's not even accurate because the fact that I'm being consistent with my podcast and putting out my social media, people are watching, but they may not be liking or they may not be sharing. So I think that was a big lesson that I had to learn, and that's what I shared in the book.
Yeah, there's so many fears that physicians have, and there's so many reasons why we don't start or we compare ourselves to other, or we even compare ourselves to where we thought we would be, that arrival fallacy of, okay, I'm here and I have my job and I have my family and now what? So it's not even just comparing ourselves to others, but comparing ourselves to
To
our
ourselves.
ideal view of ourselves or even our true selves.
You're so right. And I actually had that moment where I was working, I'm doing primary care, and I was just like, oh, what now? What else do I do? Like, is this it for the rest of my life? I don't know. And so you're right. Sometimes we do have these unrealistic expectations for ourselves. And the last thing, and I didn't put this in the book, but I think it's important to mention, is that we need to give ourselves grace. We need to realize that dream that we had when we were 12, that we're going to be a doctor, we're going to save lives. I mean, yes, we are doing that, but it can change. And so we got to allow ourselves grace so that we can be able to, try something else, to go into a different field, and find a different passion. I mean, for me, I still work full time and I do the podcast on the side. And the one thing I have to say is that I truly enjoy the podcast. It actually brings me joy in addition to what I do with my, daily full-time job. So sometimes you got to allow yourself that grace to try something new.
Yeah, and really just overcoming that fear and just doing it. And I totally resonated with
Yeah.
so many parts of your chapter. There was, I keep this little note on my desk.
Mhm.
It's hidden right now, but let me show you what I keep on my desk since this was 2 days after I formed my LLC. I
Mhm.
went to a conference and someone said, "Start before you're ready." And so here I still have my note. There it is, that I keep on my
Ah,
desk.
I love it.
It's been here now for a year and a half, because when, I wasn't ready. And am I ready now? I don't know, but I just do it. And I think, that just start, like you titled your chapter, Just Start. I'm like, yeah, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just start.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I think that's awesome.
And you're right.
So,
And that's what we have to realize when you're trying to find your job. Definitely just starting, just getting out there is the best thing that you can do. And I always like the thing is just, do it dirty. It doesn't have to be perfect. I know as doctors, we want to have A+, but it's okay to be B+. It's okay to be B+.
exactly. And if you get it wrong, you just do it again or you try something different.
Exactly.
Like it's
Yeah.
okay to do something. We're not used to being able to make mistakes or being allowed to make mistakes.
Mhm. And the funny thing is, sometimes you have to fail in order to succeed. Sometimes you have to keep trying and trying something and seeing that it doesn't work. So you try it a different way and see if that works. And if that doesn't work, try a different way before you figure it out what works for you. But if you just keep trying and you just, if we look at Thomas Edison, I want to, you can correct me if I'm wrong, who came up with the light bulb. He had to fail multiple times before he figured out the light bulb. And so think of that in your physician and your entrepreneurship. Sometimes you may have to quote unquote fail or not get it right. But if you learn from that mistake and you make it better, that mistake was what propelled you to the next step. So you have to think about it. This is, even though this is just, doesn't feel good to not do things well, or it may not be the greatest, at least this is your stepping stone so that you can get to that next step of greatness.
Yeah, I'm so grateful for the mistakes that I've made because not only have they gotten me to where I am today, but they've made me who I am today, which is so different than even 2 years ago. And that person was so different from 2 years before that.
Yes. I mean, when we think about our mindset and how we've changed over just the 2 years, it's amazing. It's amazing. The fact that we've changed. I mean, I feel like it's the fact that we've changed has made us such better people, better physicians, and better entrepreneurs.
Yeah. And it's nice to have an outlet other than medicine so that when I'm in medicine and when I'm with my patients, I feel like I'm more able to be present because I have something that when I'm not with them, I can just kind of disassociate from medicine almost. Because, as a doctor, it's such a big part of our identities. And, when I'm not with my patients, I'm thinking about my patients. So it's nice to have
Mhm.
something other than medicine, even though I love medicine.
Oh, yeah. And the one thing I would say is this is kind of our offshoot of medicine. We're making it our own. We're bringing our own flair to it, shall we say.
Yeah, no, exactly. Well, cool. So tell us where people can listen to your podcast and where we can find you and all the cool things that you're doing.
Yes, well, definitely. If you haven't picked up your copy of the Made for More Physicians Who Are Living on Their Own Terms, um, feel free to go to Amazon and check it out. In fact, we have a deal for you for this next week. It ends on Monday. For the Kindle version, it's $1.99. So please pick up a copy. Please leave a 5-star review. Also, if you want to reach out to me, feel free to reach out to me at Instagram at Dr. Shelly MD. You can listen to the podcast, Back on Track, Achieving Healthy Weight Loss. And then also, go to my website at Dr. Shelly MD. So thank you so much for having me.
Very cool. And tell me one more thing before we end. When people go to your website, what are they going to see? Why would they be contacting you?
So if you want to contact me, if you're interested in a speaker or someone for your event, you can definitely contact me through my website. Also, I do have a listing of all my podcasts too there. So if you don't have access to Apple, Spotify, or any of those other apps, feel free to just go directly to my website and learn more about me.
Very cool. Well, you're an amazing human being. You are smart and kind, and I'm flabbergasted by your motivation to keep going. I think that's beyond motivation. I would call it more dedication. So, thank you so much for joining us today. And I really hope that someone watching this is a physician who's maybe too scared to make a change that they know they need to make, and they're like, yeah, we can do this. Maybe, get a copy of the book and read it.
Yes, you will not be disappointed. The book, the stories in there are so inspirational. You will definitely love it.
Yeah, I agree completely. And of course, if anyone is looking for a job, please do contact me. I'd love to help you find one. At physicians only. And of course, I can help you through the whole interview process and all of that. So thank you for watching, and please make sure to comment and like. And oh, thank you. We got a comment from Dr. Salvador. Thank you. Thank you. And
Thank you.
yeah, feel free to comment. We'd love to hear from you on what you guys think. Bye.